Now why don't we go inside and talk things over? I'm not going in there. I hate the man. Feels good every time I say it.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. Congratulations, you did it. You intellectuals survived another period of your lives where I wasn't reviewing a King of the Hill episode. Rest now, my child, for the time of pain and suffering has come to an end. Today we're looking at the episode The Father, the Son, and JC. Why? Because it's December and this is a Christmas episode I haven't already talked about. The episode starts at the Arlen Mall where the Hills are doing some shopping. Bobby and Peggy are trying to figure out what gift to get Hank, but they're having little luck.
The world's best hammer!
Sears already sold me the world's best hammer, so someone's lying.
Does truth in advertising apply to hyperboles? I want to make fun of Hank being naive, but he might just have a case here.
I say we just get him a gift certificate.
That's a great idea, Bobby. We will give your father the same thing we give the paper boy.
When I was fresh out of college and broke, I saved up pretty much every penny given to me, including gifts. So I got a fair amount of gift cards regularly because they were the only way people could get me to spend money on myself. Gift cards are an interesting concept when you think about it. Objectively, they are a horrible product. You pay over $50 for something that has a value of exactly $50. Actually less than that since you can only use most of them at certain locations. Cash is definitely more valuable, but still cash isn't personal. In the art of gift giving, personal gifts are higher tier than generic gifts. So even though cash is more useful, a well-chosen gift card shows that the gift giver actually knows you. That's why they're sold as gifts specifically. That's the only way they have value. Elsewhere in the store, we see Cotton and Hank discussing Christmas dinner plans, which will be happening at Cotton's new apartment.
So you better bring a Christmas gift, a housewarming gift, and a chair if you want to sit.
Look at Hank's face. He doesn't care at all about the demands. He's genuinely happy just to be invited.
Now how about I buy you an ornament?
You would like that, you draft dodger.
Geez, GH is knocked out. I guess he's just used to his dad screaming all the time. Actually, at this point, he probably can't sleep unless Cotton is screaming. Hank gets a propane emergency and has to head out. But as he does, Cotton continues to berate him.
The assistant lackey's on the move. Never been promoted.
Okay, now GH is awake. I guess I've seen weirder things happen off screen. Or rather, I haven't seen them. Hank rushes to the location of the propane emergency, only to find that he's been Smeckledorf. Turns out Buck was summoning him for personal reasons.
Why would you call in a false propane emergency? We're looking at a $50 fine once I report us.
Never change, Hank.
DWI, Hank. Blew a .2.
Buck tells Hank he needs a ride since the judge took away his license. Hank not only offers to drive Buck to his destination, but to be his driver until he gets his license back.
You drive nice, Hank.
I pretend the gas pedal's an egg.
The two stop to get Buck a Christmas tree at what looks like Chappie's. Unlike Cotton, Buck accepts Hank's choice of ornament and even buys him a tree as a thank you, saying it's the least he could do since Hank will be driving him around until he finishes his community service.
You get to build a Habitat for Humanity house? I've been on the waiting list for 2 years.
That's kinda messed up. There's no shortage of community work needed to be done. Why would you give something that has a wait list to lawbreakers?
How would you like it if I made you assistant manager of building this house?
Mr. Strickland, are you trying to pass the buck? See, this is why I say that Buck is a good businessman and that Hank, while good with people, would not do well in the business world, or at least not as good as Buck. Buck knows that if Hank is helping with a project, especially one that requires manual labor, he's going to put his all into it. Buck can make his golden goose happy while simultaneously avoid doing most of the work he himself is required to do. His reasons for doing this are obviously selfish, but it's a win-win situation where everyone is happy. If Hank were in Buck's shoes, he would never pass on the work to someone else. And yeah, hard work is fine and all, but for businesses, you eventually get to a point where you have to look for smarter ways to get jobs done. Hank goes to tell the boys of his opportunity, and of course, they all like building stuff too, so he invites them to assist. Wait, Hank is inviting others to something that has a wait list? So Buck legit made him in charge of the project. I'm not sure how forced community service works, but can a judge assign a convict a job like this? Like, what if some random guy with no building experience was caught instead of Buck? Is it because of Buck's history that he gets this job? Does Buck have a history of building houses that shows he can reliably do a job like this? I have so many questions. Later at the Hill house, the Hills are enjoying dinner when Cotton shows up unexpectedly.
Come on, Hank. Let's go shoot us a Christmas tree.
Ah, finally, geez. I've been referencing this scene for over a year now.
This year, Mr. Strickland bought me a tree.
But we always...
No, you don't. Trust me, I've been checking. Cotton shows the audience that he's clearly disappointed in breaking the tradition, but he pulls the stereotypical men don't communicate their feelings and instead just lashes out and insults Hank.
Too bad we can't get Dad a new dad for Christmas.
Or can we? The best present for your father would be a healthy relationship with his father, one where they can express their real feelings for each other.
Oh, about that, Peggy. So I believe firmly that a crucial step to living healthily is to, at least on occasion, openly communicate your emotions with others. It's why in my other videos I'm constantly frustrated at characters causing problems that could be solved by just communicating. Even though women are more known for expressing themselves emotionally, I have this standard for both sexes. However, being a male myself, last I checked, as well as someone who's asocial, I'm not going to pretend like there aren't understandable reasons as to why everyone doesn't want to practice this. One that applies to this particular episode is that opening up makes you vulnerable, exposing your inner weaknesses, and men like Hank and Cotton were raised to not do that. They are hard conservatives, and the conservative position of the man is to be a strong foundation for his family. So I'm not saying that Peggy's idea isn't warranted, but it's one that could easily blow up in her face, especially if she doesn't execute it correctly. And given this is Peggy we're talking about, I don't have a lot of faith in her. So Peggy gets to work on manipulating Hank and Cotton.
Why don't you invite your father to the groundbreaking?
Because I already know his answer. No, followed by an insult.
A little insight on Hank there. He expects nothing but negativity from Cotton, and can you blame him? That's all his father has ever given him.
Oh, Cotton, Hank has something to tell you.
And Peggy, you went from funny to annoying real quick. Thanks to Peggy's meddling, Hank is forced to invite Cotton to the groundbreaking. At first, Cotton declines as expected, claiming he has no care for charity.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go. You win.
But Shady, Cotton is known for his bad parenting and mistreatment of Hank. Why does he suddenly care about spending time with him? Isn't this out of character? Well, if you actually watch the show, hint hint, wink wink, you know that Cotton actually gets increments of character development throughout it. Season 6 in particular, which is when this episode takes place, is chock full of Cotton dealing with his relationships and toxic behavior to others. It all builds up to the season 6 finale, the one where they go to Japan, where Cotton lets go of a lot of his hatred and ultimately accepts and appreciates Hank. Unfortunately, after that, there's a lot of backtreading on his character, which many King of the Hill fans are not appreciative of, myself included. Groundbreaking day arrives and Hank and the boys are eager to get to work, while Peggy continues her manipulation.
Oh, Cotton, I am so glad you're here. If Hank asks me one more time, where's Cotton, where's Cotton, where's Cotton? Well, here's Cotton.
Cotton actually shows some enthusiasm for the project, bringing his war bayonet that he was saving. Unfortunately, Hank can't read emotions and thus doesn't see that his dad actually wants to spend time with him. Instead, he gives all of his enthusiasm to Buck, which annoys Cotton.
Hey! Them people are stealing your tools.
You're building this house for them. I know they'd love to meet you.
Pretty sure that joke was an attempt on my life. Before the building starts, Buck decides to make an announcement.
Hank Hill has been my assistant manager for 20 years. Merry Christmas, Hank. I'm promoting you to manager.
Holy dodongos. An actual manager at Strickland Propane? And it's Hank? That is a legit big deal.
Mr. Strickland, I love you.
That is also a legit big deal. I guess Yuletides aren't the only things this season that are gay.
Why did Dad have to act like a woman in front of Grandpa? Grandpa hates women.
Peggy and Bobby can see that their plan is falling apart, so they try to switch up tactics by making a photo calendar. Unfortunately, they can't find pictures where Cotton and Hank are both happy. They get desperate, so they decide to put Cotton's face over Peggy's on an old wedding photo.
And we'll put it on a mug. Who would like a hot cup of love?
Yes, the joke is funny, but this is also a character moment. Hank is so afraid of public displays of affection that he couldn't even kiss his wife for that photo. So for him to blurt out what he did to Buck must be like that dreadful feeling you get when you realize you've overshared. The next day, we see the boys have gotten started on the cement work without Hank.
Cement is permanent.
As permanent as your love?
Shut up, Dale.
Y'all really do like messing with the dude who can and has beaten y'all up. By the way, this is another reason sharing emotions can feel like a taboo. Things that are sensitive to you might not feel as personal to others. You never know if you're gonna get taken seriously or mocked.
Is okay? No, it's not okay, Nefko. My boss demoted me.
What? No! That's messed up. I guess this is the episode trying to keep a status quo, but man is that mean-spirited. To finally give Hank the promotion he's been wanting for 20 years and then just rip it away from him, I would have felt better if Buck said he was promoting Hank to manager, Hank said he loved Buck, and then Buck said, I meant manager of building the house. Hank begins to calm down after seeing everyone get excited about building the house, and we get a montage of the crew going through their first building day. Later, at the Hill residence, Hank gets a call from Cotton, who tells him not to come over for Christmas.
My dad uninvited me for Christmas.
Honey, why don't you call him back and tell him how that makes you feel?
Peggy, I get where you're coming from, but you're rushing something that requires delicacy. Hank just emoted in front of Cotton, which caused a huge controversy. You're not going to convince him more emoting is the solution.
We'll just have Christmas dinner with the Niefkos over at their new house.
Desperation, thy name is Hank. Dude, it'd be better if you just stayed home and had a normal family dinner at this point. Nah, maybe that's just my introversion talking. You could not get me to go and have dinner with people I just met, especially if it was last minute. Peggy decides that if she can't manipulate the men, maybe she can manipulate a woman. She goes to have tea with Dee Dee and asks her to convince Cotton to reconsider having them over for dinner.
Cotton will not do that because Hank is too cruel. He should say he loves Cotton. It's what Cotton told me to think.
Cotton is jealous?
When a politician you don't like says something you agree with.
But that is a human emotion.
Later at the Niefkos' new house, the Hills are having, wait a second, that house isn't finished. It was supposed to take 4 days, and that's because Hank was intentionally stalling. Why did y'all start working right before Christmas Eve?
Now, I'm not sure if it's the guest or the man of the house that says grace.
It's the man of the house, Hank, unless said man gives permission to someone else. In my family, my dad let everyone take turns. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door. Hank gets it, even though it's not his house, and opens the door to see Cotton and Dee Dee.
Looking for this?
Well, you told me you left GH sleeping in a bag of hammers.
Where on earth were you hiding that kid?
How would you like to stay here and join us for Christmas dinner?
Well, something smells good.
It's ham.
Could be turkey.
It's ham.
Probably fresh particle board.
It's ham! Dee Dee starts a conversation about the house, which forces Cotton to compliment it. Hank appreciates the praise and begins to chat, but once again, Duke can't read emotional situations.
I hope Buck doesn't mind.
Buck! Course he's gonna mind. Someone opens the door too hard. Man stands up from his chair too fast.
Come on, please, Dad, stop.
If you want him to stop, just tell him how you feel.
Okay, now you're really making me angry, Peggy. Cotton is destroying someone's house. Now is not the time for words, it's a time for action. But I do want to take a moment to zoom in on this statement.
Tell your father what you told your boss and what you tell your stupid dog every day.
Ladybird is the only thing Hank feels comfortable expressing emotions to. Of course, Ladybird can't talk, so she's not going to tell anyone. It's partially why Hank is so connected to that dog. He can comfortably express himself in ways he'd normally have to worry about. Peggy finally convinces Hank to say what's on his mind and in his heart.
Dad, I hate you.
Well, he did it. He shared his emotions. Now, I'm sure Peggy, the person who pushed him to do this, will be perfectly accepting of this revelation.
Hank, you don't really hate your father. These are just bigger emotions than you're used to expressing.
Oh, what a shocker. She doesn't accept it. Jeez, it's the FS family conversation all over again. Again, it is healthy to share your emotions. However, one of the reasons many people don't is because they sometimes have feelings others will reject. Peggy spent all that time trying to get Hank to open up, but now that he's revealing an emotion she wasn't expecting, she's telling him he doesn't mean it. You can't control how you feel about something. You can only choose whether or not you act on your feelings and how you go about doing it. And think about it, why shouldn't Hank hate Cotton? His father has been a menace to him his whole life, and now he's destroying a house like a petulant child that Hank worked hard to build. Cotton, upset by what Hank said, locks everyone out of the house and threatens to destroy it by morning. Not sure how he got everyone out of the house, but sure. Bobby gets upset that his family hates each other and goes for a bit of a walk. In doing so, he runs across...
Oh, you're not from the Noodle House?
Who puts their initials on their clothes like that? Come to think of it, are overalls still a thing? I don't think I've seen a pair since the 90s. Bobby laments to the mysterious stranger about how his father and grandfather are fighting. The stranger, who claims to be a carpenter, offers to use his dispute-selling skills to try and solve this dilemma.
We'll take my car.
Wow.
The crap? Dude, it's a 10-second walk. Bobby introduces his parents to the carpenter before getting back in the limo. Hank and Peggy instantly recognize the man as Jimmy Carter.
I understand you told your father you hate him, but I seem to recall the Egyptians once said they would never accept Israel's right to exist. I think we all know how that turned out.
Nope, I'm pretty ignorant on a lot of history. Let me just look up some news on Israel right quick and maybe I don't make a topical joke this time. Jimmy tries to convince Cotton to let him in. Of course, we saw Cotton nailing the door shut earlier, so it's not like the dude could let the president in even if he wanted to. Throughout the night, Jimmy Carter does some negotiations, which I assume are filled with references he's become known for.
In these highly charged situations, I find it's helpful to say something positive about the other side.
Alright, I know you guys want to watch the scene. It's Christmas, I'm feeling nice. Here you go.
Deep down, you don't really hate your son.
Yes, I do.
But you don't...
Head to toe.
No, really.
And his wife.
He was a baby once.
Everyone hated that baby.
Hated a baby?
If I get copyright struck for letting that clip play too long, I'm blaming all of you. Jimmy finally gets Cotton to say something positive about Hank by playing a game of Would You Press the Button. Cotton admits that he, regardless of everything he may have said, doesn't want to live in a world without Hank.
Now, do you recognize his right to exist? Wonderful.
Through a bit of negotiation, Jimmy is able to get Cotton to come outside by agreeing to let him shoot up his limo. Wasn't Bobby in that car?
Boy, I love shooting a nail gun.
I love shooting a nail gun, too.
You get it? They're actually saying they love each other, but they're men who don't like to express their emotions, so instead, they're doing it by bonding.
Just goes to show that there are other ways of communicating one's emotions than just talking about them. The episode ends with Bobby thinking Jimmy was Jesus, Hank and Cotton bonding a little bit more, and Peggy taking all the credit for everything that just happened.
And Bobby, that is how I saved Christmas.
And that was The Father, the Son, and JC. It's an alright episode. Comedy holds up, and I appreciate the character development, though I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments where I got heated while watching it. Hanking his long-awaited promotion and then having it be taken away was unnecessarily cruel, and Cotton's actions in the new house were unacceptable. Even though I was giving him all these possible excuses, it still stands that I get annoyed by characters making situations bad when all they have to do is communicate. And Cotton destroying someone else's house pushes that frustration to another level. Come to think of it, this is probably the episode where I dislike Cotton the most. But I got my Christmas video, you all got your King of the Hill fix, and just like Cotton and Hank, we can leave this situation with everyone feeling satisfied. This has been Shady Doorags. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.